Opening segment: The power of your morning. Imagine this: you open your eyes in the morning, and instead of instantly feeling groggy, lost, or weighed down by yesterday's baggage, you feel clear, alive, in control. But let's be honest for a second: how often does that actually happen? Most of us hit snooze at least twice, roll out of bed half asleep, and start scrolling on our phones before our feet even touch the floor. We stumble into the day reacting to emails, notifications, or whatever crisis pops up, and before we know it, we're already behind. The truth is, your morning isn't just the first few minutes of your day. It's the foundation for your mindset, your focus, and ultimately, the life you're building. Think of it as the blueprint. If that blueprint is chaotic, rushed, or neglected, what do you think happens to the rest of your day? It unravels, piece by piece. The ancient Stoics knew this deeply. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, wrote, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love." Let that sink in. Your morning is a privilege. A chance to choose how you want to show up for yourself and the world. But instead of treating it like sacred ground, most of us treat it like a messy pit stop before the real race begins. We rush through it, hoping that somehow we'll magically find energy and clarity later. But here's the hard truth: you don't stumble into clarity or energy by accident. You cultivate it, moment by moment, choice by choice. Think about athletes. They don't start their day by guessing what workout they'll do or if they feel in the mood to train. They wake up with intention. Their morning routine isn't negotiable, it's their foundation. Why? Because they know that the first moves they make will echo through the rest of their performance. Now, what if we approached our lives the same way? What if, instead of starting our days in reaction mode, we claimed those first moments as ours? Here's a question for you: what if your morning was no longer a battle against the alarm clock but a quiet ceremony to prepare your mind and spirit? That's what Stoicism encourages us to do. It isn't about rigid discipline for the sake of being tough. It's about creating a space where you can breathe, reflect, and decide what really matters before the noise of the world tries to decide for you. When you start your day with clarity, you're not just avoiding chaos, you're building mental armor. You're training yourself to face challenges with resilience, to move through setbacks with grace, and to stand grounded when life gets messy. Imagine pouring your first glass of water in the morning, not as a mindless habit but as a conscious act of self-respect. Or stepping outside for a few breaths of fresh air before the rush starts, grounding yourself in something real. When you understand that each morning is a fresh beginning, a reset button for your mind and soul, you start to see it as a gift, a daily chance to shape your life from the inside out. So, here's my invitation to you today: what would happen if you saw your morning as sacred? As the most important meeting you'll ever attend, the meeting with yourself? It's not about creating a perfect aesthetic routine for Instagram. It's not about checking boxes or living up to some motivational quote on your fridge. It's about reclaiming the first part of your day as yours, before the world demands a piece of you. The morning is your laboratory for self-mastery. It's where you experiment with who you want to be and how you want to show up. It's where you plant the seeds for the day's intentions and build the momentum that carries you forward. Marcus Aurelius didn't write those morning reflections just to sound poetic. He wrote them to remind himself, and us, that every morning is a new chance to be alive, to think deeply, to enjoy the simple moments, and to love both yourself and the world around you. If you're tired of feeling like you're always playing catch-up, maybe it's time to stop chasing life and start creating it, one morning at a time. And it all begins tomorrow, or even better, it begins today. Part 1: Wake up earlier. Let me ask you something: when was the last time you woke up before the world did, and felt that quiet magic of the early morning? Most of us dread the sound of our alarm clock. We hit snooze, roll over, and tell ourselves, just 5 more minutes. Before we know it, we're rushing out the door, chugging coffee, already feeling behind. But what if I told you there's a hidden superpower waiting for you in those early hours? Waking up early isn't just a productivity hack. It's a sacred window of time, a time when the world is still, your mind is clear, and your spirit is wide open. When you rise before the chaos starts, you claim a piece of the day that belongs only to you. Imagine this: an hour before your usual wake-up time. It might feel painful at first. You'll hear that voice in your head whispering, "Stay in bed. You need more sleep. You'll be miserable." But as the Stoic philosopher Seneca reminds us, we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Most of the pain we feel about waking up early is mental. It's a story we keep telling ourselves. The story that we'll be too tired, that we can't function without that extra hour of sleep, that we're not morning people. But here's the thing, these are just excuses, and they rob us of the quiet power those early hours offer. When you wake up before the world starts demanding your attention, you create space. Space to think. To plan. To simply breathe. That extra hour becomes your personal sanctuary, untouched by emails, social media notifications, or the endless to-do list. What could you do with an hour that's fully yours? You might read a few pages of a book that's been gathering dust on your shelf. You might journal your thoughts, get to know what's actually on your mind before the world starts shouting over it. You might simply sit with a cup of tea or water, watching the sunrise, feeling your breath. In those moments, you're not just getting ahead on tasks, you're meeting yourself. You're checking in with your values, your goals, your deeper self. You're building a relationship with the person you want to become. When you choose to rise early, you're telling yourself, "I value my growth more than temporary comfort." You're proving that discipline isn't a punishment, it's a form of freedom. Freedom from rushing. Freedom from anxiety. Freedom from that constant feeling of being one step behind. Think about the most successful, grounded people you admire. Whether they're athletes, entrepreneurs, artists, or spiritual leaders, almost all of them have some kind of early morning ritual. They don't leave the start of their day to chance. They design it. Michael Phelps, for example, visualized every detail of his swim in the quiet hours before training. Oprah talks about her mornings as sacred, a time to set intentions before the noise begins. Even Marcus Aurelius, ruling an empire, found time each morning to reflect and write. Waking up early isn't about perfection or having some elite discipline gene. It's about making a choice, again and again, to show up for yourself before you show up for the world. So, what would it look like for you to wake up just 1 hour earlier tomorrow? What if that hour became the anchor that holds you steady throughout the day? You don't have to run a marathon or conquer your entire to-do list before sunrise. You just have to show up, quietly, intentionally, and consistently. That 1 hour can be the difference between starting your day in chaos or in calm. Between reacting to life or creating it. When you master the first hour, you set the tone for everything that follows. You're no longer at the mercy of other people's schedules, emergencies, or expectations. You become the architect of your own day. And yes, it will feel uncomfortable at first. You might groan when the alarm goes off, and you might stumble to the kitchen half asleep. But each day you do it, you're strengthening that muscle of self-respect and inner power. Seneca wasn't just talking about waking up early when he said we suffer more in imagination than in reality, he was talking about life. The fears that hold us back are almost always bigger in our minds than they are in real life. Tomorrow morning, when that alarm rings, ask yourself, am I going to let my imagination hold me hostage, or am I going to choose freedom? Start with one morning. 1 hour. One quiet moment to reconnect with yourself before the world wakes up. Because when you learn to conquer your morning, you start learning to conquer your life. Part 2. Drink water before coffee. Let me guess. The moment you wake up, the first thing you crave is that warm, comforting cup of coffee. The smell alone feels like it could bring you back to life, right? I get it. Coffee feels like a morning ritual we can't live without. It's the magical elixir that promises to transform us from zombies to functioning humans. But here's a question that might make you pause. What if I told you your body is begging for something else first, long before it wants that caffeine hit? After a full night's sleep, your body is dehydrated. Think about it, for 6, 7, maybe even 8 hours, you haven't had a single drop of water. Meanwhile, your brain, which is about 75% water, has been quietly running maintenance mode, sorting memories, repairing cells, and preparing you for the new day. When you first open your eyes, your system isn't crying out for espresso. It's desperately asking for water. Now, don't get me wrong, I love coffee as much as the next person. But when we skip water and jump straight to caffeine, we're sending our body and brain mixed signals. Instead of gently waking up and replenishing what we lost overnight, we shock our system. Imagine trying to run your car first thing in the morning without any oil, it's gonna sputter and struggle. Your body is no different. Drinking a big glass of water first thing in the morning is one of the simplest, most powerful acts of self-care you can give yourself. It doesn't require a fancy gym membership or a new planner. Just you and a glass of water. In that moment, you're telling your body, I see you. I respect you. I'm here to support you today. It's not just about hydration. It's a mental cue, a quiet but strong message to your mind that today, you're choosing clarity over chaos. You're choosing to take care of yourself before you start reacting to the world. When you start with water, you're setting the foundation for better focus, steadier energy, and a calmer mood. Have you ever noticed how, even after coffee, you sometimes still feel foggy or jittery? That's often because your body is actually thirsty, not tired. Our culture glorifies hustle and more caffeine as the solution to all problems. But true energy doesn't come from stimulants. It comes from respecting the basics: sleep, breath, and yes, water. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, "Progress is not achieved by luck or accident, but by working on yourself daily." Drinking water first thing is a small but profound way to practice this philosophy. It's discipline in its most gentle form. You're not punishing yourself, you're nurturing yourself. I know, this might sound almost too simple to matter. But think about this: most big transformations in life don't happen through one massive action. They happen through small, repeated decisions that compound over time. By choosing water first, you're creating a ripple effect. You're more likely to make better choices throughout the day, eating better, moving more, thinking clearer. One good decision leads to another. I used to be the person who stumbled straight to the coffee machine, eyes half closed, just desperate for that first sip. I thought that was what I needed to feel alive. But I noticed that I was always crashing mid-morning. I felt wired but also strangely drained. Then I tried something different. I started my day with a tall glass of water. Within a week, I noticed my mornings felt smoother. My brain felt more awake, even before that first cup of coffee. And when I finally did drink my coffee, it felt like a treat rather than a lifeline. Imagine the difference between starting your day by flooding your body with caffeine versus gently waking it up with pure, refreshing water. Which one sounds like it would set you up to be more present, more focused, and more in control? Drinking water first thing isn't about giving up your beloved coffee. It's about giving your body what it needs first, so that coffee becomes a choice, not a crutch. So tomorrow, when you wake up, before you even think about that latte or espresso shot, reach for a big glass of water. Feel it wake up your cells. Feel it clear the cobwebs from your mind. Feel it remind you that small, intentional acts are the foundation of a powerful life. Because in the end, the way you start your morning is the way you start your day. And the way you start your day is the way you build your life. Start simple. Start with water. And watch how it changes everything. Part 3. Don't reach for your phone right away. Okay, be honest. What's the very first thing you touch when you wake up in the morning? For most of us, it's not the glass of water on the nightstand or the journal on the dresser. It's that rectangular little device, our phone. We grab it almost instinctively, eyes still half closed, and immediately start scrolling through notifications, emails, headlines, and social media feeds. And just like that, before your feet even hit the floor, you've already surrendered the most precious part of your day, your mind. Why do we do this? Because it's easy. Because we're addicted to that dopamine hit. Because we tell ourselves we need to check if something urgent happened overnight. But let's really think about it. How many of those notifications truly need your attention at 6:30 a.m.? How many of them actually add value to your life in that moment? When you start your day by grabbing your phone, you're basically opening the floodgates to everyone else's opinions, crises, and agendas. You're letting the world decide your mental state before you even have a chance to decide for yourself. Imagine your mind in the morning like a calm, still lake. As soon as you check your phone, it's like throwing a huge rock into that water, creating ripples, splashes, and waves that take hours to settle down. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most respected Stoic philosophers and emperors, said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." When you reach for your phone first thing, you're giving that power away. You're letting random updates, endless opinions, and curated highlight reels tell you what to think and how to feel. Let's be real, most of what we see on social media first thing in the morning either triggers comparison, anxiety, or urgency. Someone is on vacation in Bali while you're stuck at home. Someone closed a big deal while you're still trying to figure out your next step. Someone's life looks perfect while yours feels like a mess. That's not a healthy or empowering way to start the day. It puts you in a reactive state, a state where you're constantly comparing, doubting, and feeling behind. What if, instead, you gave yourself even 30 minutes of phone-free time in the morning? 30 minutes to check in with yourself before checking in with the world. What could you do with those first 30 minutes? You could stretch, hydrate, set your intentions, meditate, or simply enjoy a few moments of silence. You could take a few deep breaths and ask yourself, what do I need today? Who do I want to be today? I know this might feel uncomfortable at first. The urge to check your phone can be powerful, almost like an itch you feel you must scratch. But that urge is exactly why this practice is so important. By resisting it, you're practicing self-mastery, the same kind of mastery the Stoics spoke about centuries ago. Remember, the goal isn't to demonize technology. Your phone isn't evil. It's an incredible tool when used intentionally. But if you let it control the very first moments of your day, you're setting the tone for a day lived on autopilot, constantly reacting instead of consciously creating. Here's something to try: place your phone in another room overnight. Or at least put it across the room so you have to physically get up to reach it. Even better, invest in an old-school alarm clock so you're not tempted to scroll when the alarm goes off. When you start your day without your phone, you'll be amazed at how clear your mind feels. You'll notice the quality of your thoughts, the softness of the morning light, the gentle sound of your own breath. You'll start to remember what it feels like to be present, fully present, before the world starts shouting for your attention. And here's a secret: that sense of presence, that clarity, is your superpower. It's what allows you to approach the rest of the day with intention, to make better decisions, to connect more deeply with others, and to respond instead of react. Marcus Aurelius didn't have Instagram or endless group chats to distract him, but he still struggled with external pressures. His wisdom is timeless: you have power over your mind, not outside events. By choosing how you start your morning, you reclaim that power. So tomorrow, when you open your eyes, resist the urge to reach for your phone. Instead, reach for yourself. Check in with your breath, your thoughts, your heart. Start the day as the author of your own story, not a character in someone else's highlight reel. Because when you choose yourself first thing in the morning, you're not just winning the morning, you're winning your life. Part 4, Make your bed, start with order. Let's talk about something so simple, so ordinary, that most people don't even give it a second thought. Making your bed. Yep, that's it. No complicated rituals, no expensive gadgets, no 5-step miracle morning formula. Just pulling up the sheets, fluffing the pillows, and smoothing out the blanket. But here's the thing: this tiny act holds a power most people overlook. When you make your bed first thing in the morning, you're sending a powerful signal to yourself and to your mind: I'm in control today. Before emails flood your inbox, before the world asks for your attention, before life throws unexpected curveballs at you, you've already done something intentional, something complete. It's not about the bed. It's about momentum. Admiral William McRaven, a former Navy SEAL commander, once said, "If you want to change the world, start off by making your bed." And he meant it. Because if you can't do the small things right, how can you ever expect to tackle the big things? When you make your bed, you create a tiny win. A win that might seem insignificant on its own but actually sets the tone for everything that follows. It's a psychological anchor, a reminder that you are capable of creating order out of chaos, even in the smallest ways. Think about it: we live in a world obsessed with big moves. We celebrate huge milestones, promotions, new houses, big weight loss transformations. But the truth is, those big wins are built on the back of small, consistent actions that nobody sees. Making your bed is one of those hidden foundations. It's the quiet practice of discipline. The unspoken commitment to show up for yourself. The promise that no matter what happens today, you started from a place of order and intention. And here's the interesting part: making your bed doesn't just impact you in the morning. When you return home at the end of a long, exhausting day, you're greeted by that neat, inviting space. It's a gentle reminder, you kept your word to yourself. You finished something. You honored the start of your day, and now you get to rest in that simple act of self-respect. I know what you might be thinking, does making my bed really matter that much? But let me ask you this, how often do you feel like your life is spinning out of control? How many times have you told yourself you'll start that new habit tomorrow or finish that project when things calm down? Discipline doesn't magically appear when life becomes easier. Discipline is forged in small, ordinary moments, like pulling up your covers at 6 a.m. The Stoics knew this deeply. They believed that self-mastery starts in the everyday, in how you carry yourself, how you maintain your space, how you honor your own time. Marcus Aurelius didn't have a bed to make in the same way we do today, but he constantly reminded himself to bring order to his mind, to guard against chaos, and to live with intention. Making your bed is a physical metaphor for that mental order. When you start your day with a small act of completion, you're setting the stage for bigger acts of courage and consistency later on. You're reminding your mind, I keep my promises. I finish what I start. That might sound small, but over time, these promises build trust with yourself. And that self-trust is the foundation for true confidence, not the loud, boastful kind, but the quiet, unwavering kind that no one can take away from you. So tomorrow morning, before you rush to your phone or dive into your to-do list, take 2 minutes to make your bed. Feel the smoothness of the sheets under your hands. Notice the moment of stillness it brings to your mind. Start with something small. Start with something within your control. Because when you master the small, the big things become possible. When you create order in your space, you create order in your mind. And when you create order in your mind, you start to see the world differently, more clearly, more confidently, more intentionally. Remember, it's not about perfection. It's not about having a Pinterest-worthy bedroom. It's about beginning your day with a win. About proving to yourself that you can create clarity and calm, no matter what the world throws at you. So, tomorrow, make your bed. And let that simple act become the first quiet victory in a day, and a life, full of them. Part 5, Move your body. Let me ask you something. When you wake up, does your body feel like a heavy bag of bricks? Do your muscles feel tight, your head foggy, and your energy stuck somewhere deep under the covers? You're not alone. Most of us roll out of bed and move straight into the mental hustle, emails, notifications, morning worries. We're already in our heads before we even remember that we have a body to wake up to. But what if I told you that one of the simplest ways to unlock your mind is to first move your body? And no, I'm not talking about hitting the gym for an hour-long HIIT session or grinding out 1,000 push-ups at 5 a.m. I'm talking about simple, gentle movement. Stretching your arms above your head and feeling your spine wake up. Rolling your shoulders back and noticing how the tension slowly melts away. Maybe it's a few easy yoga poses, a slow walk around your block, or even just a quick set of bodyweight squats to get your blood flowing. This isn't about chasing six-pack abs or burning calories before breakfast. It's about activating your life force. When you move first thing in the morning, you're sending a message to your entire system, I'm here. I'm alive. I'm ready. It's like flipping a switch in your nervous system, telling your brain, it's time to wake up, not just mentally but physically. There's a beautiful connection between body and mind that we often forget. The Stoics understood this deeply. Epictetus taught that we shouldn't just train our minds to be strong and resilient, we should also honor and train our bodies, not for vanity, but for vitality. Movement is medicine. It releases tension that's been stored overnight. It helps process the emotions and stress we carry silently. It gets the blood circulating, bringing fresh oxygen and nutrients to our brain. Ever wonder why a quick morning walk can completely change your mood? That's why. On mornings when I feel stuck or anxious, I don't try to think my way out of it. I move. And almost like magic, my mind starts to clear, my emotions start to settle, and I feel more grounded and focused. It's almost impossible to stay mentally stagnant when your body is in motion. Carl Jung once said, the body is the visibility of the soul. In other words, your physical state reflects your inner state. If you're stiff, tense, and closed off, chances are your mind feels the same. But when you move, you invite openness, curiosity, and flow into your life. Movement doesn't have to be perfect. You don't need fancy gear, a perfectly designed home gym, or an expensive trainer. You just need to start. Feel like you don't have time? Try this: the next time you're waiting for your coffee to brew, do some gentle calf raises or stretch your hamstrings. Waiting for the shower to warm up? Do a few deep squats or reach for your toes. These tiny movements build momentum. And momentum, as we know, is powerful. Imagine this: instead of dragging your body into the day, you dance into it, light, open, and awake. Movement is also a powerful antidote to anxiety. When you feel stuck in your head, replaying the same worries on a loop, physical movement disrupts that pattern. It anchors you back into the present moment, where life actually happens. When you choose to move first thing in the morning, you're not just preparing your body for the day, you're setting the tone for your mind. You're choosing energy over stagnation, flow over resistance, and intention over habit. And the best part? This practice doesn't require you to be a morning person. You don't have to leap out of bed with a big smile. You can start slow, gently, mindfully. You can simply show up. When you start to see movement as a gift to your future self rather than a chore, everything shifts. You're not moving because you have to. You're moving because it makes you feel alive, powerful, and connected. So tomorrow morning, before you reach for your phone, before you let the world in, take a moment to move. Stretch, breathe, step outside if you can. Notice how your energy changes, how your mind opens, and how your heart feels lighter. Because the truth is, when you move your body, you move your mind. And when your mind moves, your entire life begins to flow in a new, more powerful direction. Start small. Start today. And watch the quiet strength ripple through everything you do. Part 6. Take a cold shower. Let me ask you this: when was the last time you did something in the morning that made every cell in your body scream, "Nope"? But afterward, you felt more alive than ever? I'm talking about the cold shower. Yep, that icy blast that makes you want to run for cover. Now, before you click away, hear me out. Because taking a cold shower isn't just about shocking your system. It's about building something far deeper: mental toughness, self-mastery, and what the Stoics called fortitude. See, most of us spend our lives running from discomfort. We crave warm, cozy, safe, not cold, sharp, or jarring. But here's the catch: comfort is a sneaky enemy. The more we chase comfort, the weaker we become inside. We start avoiding anything that challenges us, anything that pushes us beyond our limits. The Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius said, "It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live." And that's exactly what a cold shower is: a tiny but powerful way to begin truly living, not just existing. When you step into that freezing water first thing in the morning, your mind immediately wants to pull back. Your instincts shout, "Stay safe. Stay warm." But in that very moment, you have a choice: retreat into comfort or step forward into growth. It's not about enjoying the cold. No one really likes it at first. It's about proving to yourself that you can face resistance and come out stronger on the other side. It's about learning to control your reaction to stress, to override that initial panic with calm, steady breath. Physically, cold showers have a whole list of benefits. They increase circulation, improve alertness, boost mood by triggering endorphins, and help wake up your entire nervous system. But beyond all that, they build something even more valuable: grit. Imagine starting your day having already conquered something hard. You've already chosen courage before most people have even left their bed. That sets a psychological tone: if I can do this, what else can I handle today? I remember the first time I tried it. I stood there, staring at the faucet, completely frozen by fear. My mind was racing with excuses: maybe tomorrow, maybe just a warm shower today, maybe I'll just splash some cold water on my face instead. But deep down, I knew that if I gave in to those excuses then, I'd keep doing it everywhere else in my life. So I turned the handle, felt that icy water hit my skin, and for a moment, I could barely breathe. But then, something incredible happened. My mind went silent. My focus sharpened. My entire body felt alive, not comfortable, but deeply, vibrantly alive. That feeling of presence? That's rare in our world today. We're so often lost in thoughts about the future, the past, our endless to-do lists. A cold shower pulls you into the now. You can't worry about your emails or that awkward meeting coming up when your entire body is focused on breathing through that icy blast. It becomes a meditation in discomfort. And every day you do it, you train your mind to stay calm under pressure, to face resistance with openness instead of fear. You don't have to start with 5 minutes of pure Arctic torture. Start small. End your usual warm shower with 30 seconds of cold. That's it. You can build up from there. It's not about going extreme, it's about consistency, about showing up for yourself in a small but powerful way each morning. The Stoics believe that voluntarily exposing ourselves to discomfort strengthens our spirit. Seneca practiced fasting and sleeping on hard surfaces to prepare himself for hardship. We might not need to wear rough clothes or fast for days, but stepping into a cold shower? That's a modern act of voluntary hardship. And here's the best part, the confidence you build in that shower doesn't stay there. It follows you into the rest of your day, your work, your relationships, your challenges. You start to realize that the obstacles you once avoided aren't as scary as you thought. So tomorrow morning, when you step into the bathroom and feel the temptation to stay comfortable, ask yourself, am I living my day on autopilot, or am I choosing to grow? Turn that handle. Feel the shock. Embrace the discomfort. And watch as it transforms not just your mornings, but your entire life. Part 7, Journaling. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you really sat down and listened to your own mind? Not the noise from the world, not the endless to-do lists, but the raw, unfiltered voice inside you? Most of us move through our days carrying an invisible backpack filled with worries, frustrations, half-finished thoughts, and dreams we don't dare to say out loud. And we wonder why we feel heavy, stuck, or disconnected. There's a simple, powerful tool to lighten that load: journaling. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Isn't journaling just for writers or teenagers with secret diaries? Not at all. In fact, it might be one of the most underrated self-mastery tools we have. Journaling isn't about perfect sentences or poetic confessions. It's about honesty. It's a private space where you can unpack the chaos in your mind and see it clearly on paper. It's like taking all those swirling thoughts, fears, and hopes, and finally giving them a place to land. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers and an emperor who ruled an entire empire, wrote what we now call Meditations. But here's the important part, he didn't write it for us. He didn't write it to impress anyone. He wrote it for himself, as reminders, as self-corrections, as a way to strengthen his mind and heart. When you journal, you're doing the same. You're creating a quiet room where you can meet yourself without judgment. A place where you can be brutally honest, where you don't have to perform, please, or pretend. Imagine starting your day with a few simple questions. What am I feeling today? What do I need right now? What am I grateful for? What's one thing I can do to move closer to who I want to become? You might be surprised by what comes up. You might notice patterns, the same doubts showing up day after day, the same limiting beliefs whispering in the background. And once you see them clearly, you have a chance to choose differently. Journaling isn't just reflection, it's transformation. When you write something down, you pull it out of the shadows of your subconscious and into the light of awareness. You make it tangible, real, something you can work with. For me, journaling started as a 5-minute scribble. A place to dump all the mental noise before I stepped into the day. Over time, it became a practice of self-conversation, a way to track my growth, to hold myself accountable, and to remind myself of what truly matters when life gets messy. You don't need fancy notebooks or expensive pens. You don't need to write pages and pages every day. Start with one line if that's all you have in you. Some mornings, your entries might look like a messy mind map. Other days, they might be a single sentence: today, I choose courage. And that's enough. The beauty of journaling is that it becomes a mirror. A mirror that doesn't distort or judge, but simply reflects. Over time, as you look back, you start to see the story you're writing with your life, the story you're actively shaping, day by day. The Stoics believed in daily self-examination. Seneca said we should call ourselves to account every day, not to punish ourselves but to learn and grow. Journaling is that daily account. A place to ask, did I act according to my values today? Where did I fall short? Where did I rise above? It's not about perfection, it's about progress. And in a world that constantly demands that we move faster, that we consume more, that we keep performing, journaling invites us to slow down, to pause, to remember who we are beneath all the noise. So tomorrow morning, before you dive into emails or scroll through the news, grab a notebook. Sit quietly for a few minutes. Let the pen move, even if your mind resists at first. Because when you give yourself space to hear your own voice, you'll find guidance, clarity, and a deeper sense of peace. In those moments, you're not just journaling. You're building a sanctuary for your mind, one word at a time. Part 8. Set clear goals. Let me ask you a question. How many times have you gotten to the end of your day and felt like you were busy all day but somehow didn't actually accomplish anything meaningful? We live in a world that celebrates being busy. We wear it like a badge of honor. Look at me, I'm constantly grinding, always on the move. But busyness isn't the same as progress. Being busy isn't the same as being effective. That's why setting clear, specific goals every morning is so powerful. Not a laundry list of 15 vague to-dos, but 3 clear, actionable goals that truly matter. Why 3? Because it forces focus. 3 is enough to feel ambitious but not so many that you get lost in overwhelm. It creates a sense of direction, a North Star for your day. Imagine waking up and asking yourself, what are the 3 most important things I can do today that will move me closer to the person I want to become? Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher, put it perfectly. First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. In other words, don't just react to whatever the world throws at you. Decide who you want to be first. Then align your actions with that vision. When you start your day with that level of intention, everything shifts. You stop drifting from task to task, checking your phone, answering random emails, feeling pulled in 10 different directions. Instead, you move with purpose. You act, rather than react. Think of your goals as a compass. Without them, you're like a boat lost at sea, drifting wherever the wind blows. With them, even if the waves are rough, you still know where you're heading. I remember when I first started setting just 3 daily goals. It felt almost too simple. I thought, this can't possibly be enough. But that simplicity was the key. It forced me to get honest. What actually matters today? What tasks will truly make me feel accomplished when I close my eyes tonight? Sometimes it was something big, like finishing a chapter of a book I was writing. Other days, it was as simple as calling a loved one I'd been neglecting or finally fixing something around the house that had been bothering me for weeks. The point isn't the size of the task. The point is the intention behind it. When you start completing these daily goals, something amazing happens. You build trust with yourself. You prove, day after day, that you do what you say you'll do. That's how self-confidence is built, not through grand gestures or motivational hype, but through small, consistent wins. Over time, you start to notice that these daily goals stack up. They become stepping stones toward your bigger dreams and values. You realize that real growth isn't about giant leaps. It's about tiny, intentional steps, repeated over and over. Imagine this: instead of ending your day feeling scattered and unsatisfied, you close your journal or planner and see 3 checked-off goals. You feel that satisfying exhale. You feel progress. You feel aligned. That's a powerful way to live. The Stoics understood that without direction, we become slaves to external noise, to what other people expect, to distractions, to fleeting emotions. But when we choose our direction each morning, we become the captains of our own ship. So tomorrow, before you dive into the chaos, sit down for 5 minutes. Write down 3 clear, specific goals. Ask yourself, what would make today feel meaningful? What actions align with who I want to become? What can I do today that my future self will thank me for? Then, commit. Do them with focus, without waiting for the perfect mood or the right time. Because as Epictetus taught us, the first step is declaring who you want to be. The next step? Doing what needs to be done. Part 9. Choose content that nourishes your mind. Let me paint you a picture. It's early morning. You wake up, grab your phone, and start scrolling. Maybe it's the news, full of crisis and conflict. Maybe it's social media, highlight reels of other people's vacations, careers, and six-pack abs. Before your feet even touch the ground, your mind is already flooded with noise, comparison, and anxiety. Sound familiar? We call it doom scrolling, and it's one of the fastest ways to drain your energy and focus before your day even begins. But what if you flipped the script? Imagine starting your day not with chaos, but with content that actually nourishes your mind and uplifts your spirit. Instead of letting random headlines or angry comment sections shape your mental state, you choose to feed your mind with wisdom, insight, and clarity. The Stoics understood this long before smartphones or Twitter ever existed. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and philosopher, began each morning by grounding himself in philosophy. Not politics. Not gossip from the Roman Senate. But deep, timeless principles that helped him stay centered and strong, even when ruling an empire. He wrote to himself, reflected on Stoic ideas, and reminded himself of what truly mattered. We might not be emperors, but we face a modern empire of distractions every single day. And just like Marcus, we need something stronger than the noise to anchor us. What if, instead of reaching for your phone first thing, you picked up a book that challenges you to think deeper? What if you listened to a podcast that expands your perspective instead of shrinking it? What if you started your day with a page of philosophy, a meaningful essay, or even a short meditation that invites you to connect with your own values? I started experimenting with this a few years ago. Instead of the usual scroll, I kept a book of Stoic writings on my nightstand. Some mornings, I'd only read a single paragraph. But that paragraph often carried more power and clarity than an hour of mindless browsing ever could. There's something almost magical about intentionally choosing your first mental meal of the day. It sets a tone. It says, I am in charge of what I let into my mind. I choose to build strength, not anxiety. The content you consume is like the food you eat, it either fuels you or drains you. Junk content might feel satisfying in the moment, but it leaves you sluggish, scattered, and hungry for more. Meanwhile, nourishing content strengthens your focus, inspires action, and helps you see the world, and yourself, more clearly. Marcus Aurelius famously said, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. So, what color are you choosing each morning? Are you painting your mind with fear and comparison? Or with courage, wisdom, and clarity? Imagine starting your day with ideas that remind you who you want to be. Words that guide you back to your core, your purpose, your true values. It's like putting on mental armor before you step into the battlefield of daily life. And here's the beautiful part, it doesn't take hours. You don't need to read an entire book or meditate on a mountain. You can start with 10 pages. 5 minutes. One powerful quote that resonates with you. The key is intention. Choosing what you let in before the world chooses for you. Ask yourself tomorrow morning, what can I read or listen to that will help me grow? What message do I want echoing in my mind today? This simple shift, from passive consumption to intentional nourishment, changes everything. It doesn't just improve your mornings, it transforms your entire day. You start to notice your thoughts more. You respond instead of react. You carry a quiet strength that no breaking news alert can steal. So tomorrow, put down the phone. Step away from the headlines. Pick up something that strengthens your mind and soul. Because when you choose to feed your mind with wisdom first, you don't just survive the day, you rise above it. Part 10, Practice Visualization. Let me share a powerful question with you. What if you could rehearse your success before it even happens? Sounds like magic, right? But it's not. It's called visualization. And it's one of the most underrated, yet most powerful, mental tools we have. Here's the thing, your brain doesn't actually know the difference between a vividly imagined event and a real one. Neuroscience has shown that when you deeply visualize yourself taking action, the same neural pathways fire as if you were actually doing it. That's why so many high performers swear by this practice. Take Michael Phelps, for example. Before every race, he would mentally swim every stroke in his mind. He didn't just imagine winning, he saw every detail, the feel of the water, the turn of his body, even how he'd react if his goggles filled with water. So when that exact thing happened at the Olympics, and his goggles did fill up, he didn't panic. His body already knew what to do. Why? Because he had practiced it thousands of times in his mind first. Now, you might not be preparing for an Olympic final, but think about your own life. Maybe you have a big presentation coming up, a difficult conversation you've been avoiding, or a personal goal that feels intimidating. What if, instead of just worrying about it, you spent 5 minutes each morning truly seeing yourself succeed? I'm not talking about some vague, cheesy, just picture yourself winning mantra. I mean really sit down, close your eyes, and walk yourself through it step by step. Imagine how you'll stand, how you'll breathe, what your voice will sound like when you speak with confidence. Picture the obstacles that might come up and how you'll handle them with calm and clarity. This isn't daydreaming. It's mental training. When you do this consistently, you're building a mental map. You're preparing your mind and body to act in alignment with your goals rather than your fears. You're replacing that anxious, what if I fail, loop with a clear, empowering, this is how I will show up, script. Athletes do it. Musicians do it. Great leaders do it. And you can do it too. I started using visualization years ago before big moments in my life, important talks, job interviews, even tough phone calls. At first, it felt awkward. I doubted whether sitting quietly with my eyes closed could really make a difference. But over time, I realized something: the more vividly I rehearsed my success, the more naturally it came when it mattered. Because when the moment arrived, I didn't have to scramble or guess. I had already been there in my mind. Imagine the power of stepping into your day already feeling like you've won, already embodying the version of yourself you're striving to become. The Stoics had a similar practice. They called it premeditatio malorum, premeditating on what could go wrong. But they didn't do this to scare themselves. They did it to prepare. To remove the sting of surprise and face life's challenges with steadiness. Visualization takes that idea a step further. It's not just about preparing for the worst, it's about rehearsing your best. It's about choosing to see yourself rise above setbacks, respond with strength, and move through life with intention. So tomorrow morning, before you get swept into the day's demands, take 5 quiet minutes. Close your eyes and see yourself succeeding. Really feel it. Feel your heart steady as you face challenges. Feel your voice strong as you share your ideas. See yourself moving through your day with grace and focus. Ask yourself, who do I want to be today? And what does that look like in action? Because when you practice success in your mind, you're no longer just hoping to have a good day, you're intentionally building one. The mind is powerful. Feed it the images of the person you want to become, and watch how your reality starts to catch up. Start small. Start today. And remember, every champion, every leader, every person you admire started with a simple vision of who they wanted to be, and then practiced it until it became real. Part 11, Practice Gratitude. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you truly paused to feel grateful, not just say, thank you, but really let that feeling sink in deep? We talk a lot about gratitude these days. You see it on coffee mugs, in Instagram captions, and on motivational posters. But here's the thing, gratitude isn't just a feel-good slogan or a trendy hashtag. It's a spiritual discipline. A mental practice. A choice you make, especially when life feels hard. Most people think gratitude is something that just happens to you when everything is going well, when you get the promotion, when your relationship is thriving, when life is smooth. But real gratitude? It shows up even when things aren't perfect. Especially then. It's easy to get stuck in what's missing. Our brains are wired to scan for threats and problems, it's how we survived as a species. But if we don't train our minds, we'll always focus on what's wrong instead of what's right. Here's the good news, you can rewire your brain. Practicing gratitude literally changes the structure of your mind. Studies show that when you focus on gratitude, your brain releases dopamine and serotonin, those feel-good chemicals that make you happier and calmer. At the same time, it lowers cortisol, the stress hormone that keeps you on edge. But beyond the science, there's something beautifully simple about it. Gratitude pulls you back to the present moment. It reminds you that even in chaos, there are still small, quiet miracles happening around you every day: the warmth of your morning coffee, a stranger's smile, the way sunlight dances on your kitchen floor. When you practice gratitude intentionally, you become a collector of good moments. Instead of moving through your day on autopilot, you start noticing little details you used to overlook. You start seeing life as a series of gifts, not just a list of tasks or problems to solve. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, talked about focusing on what you have instead of longing for what you don't. He wrote, "Do not indulge in dreams of having what you have not, but reckon up the chief of the blessings you do possess." It's a radical shift. From, "I'll be happy when," to, "I'm grateful now." When I started this practice, I kept it simple. Every morning, I wrote down 3 things I was grateful for. Some days, it was big things: my health, my family, my work. Other days, it was as small as the smell of fresh rain or the quiet moments before the world wakes up. Over time, I noticed something powerful: the more I focused on gratitude, the less power my worries had over me. My mind felt clearer, my heart felt lighter, and I started showing up for my day from a place of abundance instead of lack. Gratitude is not about ignoring the hard stuff or pretending everything is perfect. It's about finding a steady anchor inside yourself, a place of strength and perspective that no external chaos can shake. So tomorrow morning, before you rush into your to-do list or check your phone, pause for a moment. Ask yourself, what am I grateful for today? What simple blessing am I overlooking? Who or what deserves my silent thank you right now? You don't have to write it down, though I recommend it. You can simply say it out loud or hold it quietly in your heart. The important part is that you feel it. Because when you choose to start your day in gratitude, you set a foundation of peace and joy that no one can take away from you. You walk into the world more present, more grounded, and more ready to face whatever comes your way. Gratitude isn't just a feeling, it's a superpower. And the best part? It's always available to you. Right here. Right now. So tomorrow, take a moment. Choose gratitude. And watch how your entire day, and eventually your entire life, begins to shift in ways you never imagined. Part 12. Remind yourself with Stoic philosophy. Let me ask you something. When you wake up each morning, what's the very first thought that shapes your day? Most of us don't even notice. We wake up and our minds immediately start racing: to-do lists, worries, random anxieties about things that might not even happen. It's like stepping onto a moving treadmill before you've had a chance to take a single conscious breath. But what if, instead of letting your mind get hijacked, you planted a powerful seed right at the start? Imagine this: you wake up, stretch, take a deep breath, and then, before anything else, you read one single line. A Stoic quote. A short, potent reminder that acts like a compass, gently pointing you back to what truly matters. Marcus Aurelius, the great Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." Let that sink in. The thoughts you carry with you are not just background noise. They paint your inner world, shape your actions, and ultimately define the kind of life you live. If you start your day in fear, your soul absorbs that fear. If you start your day in gratitude or courage, your soul soaks up that strength. This is why the Stoics believed so deeply in daily reminders, not as abstract philosophy to impress others, but as living, breathing tools to guide real life. Marcus didn't write his famous meditations to publish a bestseller. He wrote them as daily notes to himself. Reminders to stay steady, to stay humble, to remember that external chaos doesn't have to shake the inner calm. What if you did the same? Pick one line each morning. Maybe it's, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Or, "Don't waste time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." Or simply, "Memento mori, remember you must die," a gentle nudge to cherish this day fully. When you carry that line with you, it becomes an anchor. In the middle of a tough meeting, when someone cuts you off in traffic, or when you feel doubt creeping in, you can come back to that simple sentence. I started this practice a few years ago. Every morning, I'd choose a new Stoic quote and write it on a sticky note. I'd put it on my mirror or next to my computer. Throughout the day, I'd see it and pause. That pause was everything. It helped me return to the person I wanted to be, not just react on autopilot. Some mornings, I chose a line about patience. Other days, about courage, compassion, or acceptance. Over time, I noticed my reactions changing. Challenges didn't feel as overwhelming. Small annoyances didn't hijack my mood as easily. It's like carrying a wise friend in your pocket, someone who reminds you to rise above the noise and reconnect with your deeper values. The beauty of this practice is its simplicity. You don't need an elaborate morning routine or an hour-long meditation. Just one line. One thought. One moment of reflection. Tomorrow morning, before your mind runs away with all its usual chatter, try this: choose a Stoic quote. Read it slowly. Ask yourself, how can I live this today? Write it down. Say it out loud. Let it echo inside you. Because your soul really does become dyed with the color of your thoughts. If you don't choose that color intentionally, the world will choose it for you, and it probably won't be a color you love. When you start your day grounded in wisdom, you give yourself the best chance to live with purpose and strength. You step into your day as the author of your own story, not just a character swept along by circumstances. So tomorrow, pick your sentence. Let it guide you. Let it shape you. And watch how your days, and your life, begin to transform from the inside out. Part 13, Get outside and connect with nature. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you stepped outside and really felt the earth under your feet? Not just a rushed walk to your car or a quick dash to grab the mail. I mean truly stepping outside to be with nature, to breathe it in, to listen, to feel alive. Most of us spend our lives surrounded by screens and walls, trapped under fluorescent lights, scrolling endlessly, rushing from one task to another. We forget that we're not separate from nature, we are nature. Carl Jung once said, "Nature is the nourishing soil of the soul." And if we never touch that soil, our spirit starts to wither. Nature isn't just a pretty backdrop for your Instagram stories. It's a living, breathing teacher, always ready to remind us of who we are beyond our emails, deadlines, and constant notifications. When you step into a forest, feel the crunch of leaves under your feet, or watch the sun paint the sky at dawn, something shifts. Your nervous system calms down. Your breath deepens. The mind quiets. This isn't just poetic. Science backs it up. Studies show that spending time in nature lowers cortisol, the stress hormone, reduces anxiety, improves mood, and even boosts creativity. Just 20 minutes outside can change the entire chemistry of your body and mind. I remember a period in my life when I felt completely overwhelmed. Work, relationships, endless worries. It felt like my mind was a tangled ball of wires. One morning, instead of turning on my laptop, I decided to take a walk in a nearby park. At first, it felt pointless. I kept checking my phone, still mentally stuck in my problems. But then, after a while, I noticed the way the sunlight filtered through the trees, the simple rhythm of my steps, the quiet company of birdsong. Slowly, my shoulders dropped. My breathing softened. For the first time in weeks, I felt present. I felt human again. That single morning walk turned into a daily ritual. It became a moving meditation, a way to come back to myself before facing the world. You don't need to disappear into the mountains for a week or meditate in a remote forest. You can start small. Step out into your backyard barefoot. Sit quietly under a tree. Watch the clouds drift across the sky. Feel the morning air on your skin. Ask yourself, when did I stop noticing the simple miracles around me? Nature reminds us of essential truths: everything changes, everything flows, and everything is connected. When we feel small, lost, or insignificant, looking at the vastness of the sky or the steady strength of an old tree can help us remember that we're part of something bigger. The Stoics deeply respected nature. They believed in living in harmony with it, accepting its cycles and learning from its quiet wisdom. Marcus Aurelius wrote about adapting to the natural world as part of accepting life as it is, rather than fighting it. Tomorrow morning, instead of jumping straight into your inbox or scrolling through social media, try stepping outside first. Even if it's just for 5 minutes. Breathe deeply. Listen. Let the natural world speak to you in a way no app or newsfeed ever could. Notice how the world keeps moving, even without your constant intervention. Notice how the sun rises without an alarm clock, how trees grow without stress or hurry. When you build a practice of connecting with nature, you're not just reducing stress, you're grounding yourself in something timeless and true. You're reminding yourself that life isn't meant to be a race from task to task, but an experience to be fully lived and felt. So tomorrow, take that step outside. Feel the earth under your feet, the sky above your head, and remember, you're not just surviving another day. You're part of a living, breathing miracle. Part 14, Eat a real, nourishing breakfast. Let me ask you something. When you think about self-mastery and building inner strength, does breakfast ever come to mind? Probably not. But here's the truth most people overlook: self-mastery doesn't just start in your mind. It starts in your body. How you feed yourself each morning is one of the most fundamental acts of self-respect. Yet so many of us either skip breakfast entirely or grab something quick and sugary, a donut here, an energy drink there, and then we wonder why we feel foggy, irritable, and scattered by noon. Your brain is an organ. Just like your heart or your muscles, it needs real fuel to perform. A high-quality breakfast sets the stage for focus, energy, and emotional steadiness throughout the day. Imagine expecting a high-performance athlete to run a race on an empty stomach, or a surgeon to operate after only chugging a soda. It sounds ridiculous, right? And yet, we do this to ourselves all the time. Epictetus once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Mastery isn't just about resisting temptations or controlling emotions. It's also about how you care for the vessel that carries you, your body. When you choose to eat a real, nourishing breakfast, you're choosing to show up fully for your day. You're telling yourself, "I deserve energy. I deserve clarity. I deserve to feel strong." So what does a nourishing breakfast actually look like? It's not about counting calories or following the latest diet trend. It's about whole, real foods that support stable energy and focus. Think protein to keep your blood sugar steady, eggs, Greek yogurt, or tofu if you're plant-based. Healthy fats like avocado or nuts to support your hormones and brain function. Complex carbs like oats or whole grain toast to provide slow-burning fuel. Compare that to grabbing a sugary muffin or skipping breakfast entirely. The quick fix might feel good for a few minutes, but soon after, your energy crashes, your mind starts craving more sugar, and you find yourself on a roller coaster of highs and lows for the rest of the day. I used to skip breakfast all the time. I'd tell myself I was too busy or that I'd just grab coffee and keep going. But what I didn't realize was that I was setting myself up for failure before the day had even begun. When I finally shifted to eating a real breakfast, everything changed. My mind felt clearer. My mood felt steadier. I stopped snapping at small things and started tackling my goals with real focus. It was like upgrading my operating system. And it's not just about physical energy. Choosing to sit down and eat a proper meal is an act of mindfulness. It's a moment to slow down, to breathe, to reconnect with your body before the chaos starts. Ask yourself, how can I expect my mind to operate at its highest level if I don't give my body what it needs? It's a small act that says, I respect myself enough to prepare for the day ahead. Just like making your bed or journaling, this is a quiet but powerful promise to yourself. You don't have to cook an elaborate feast. Start simple. A couple of boiled eggs and some berries. Overnight oats prepared the night before. A smoothie with protein, greens, and healthy fats. The key isn't perfection, it's consistency. When you start showing up for your body every morning, you begin to see ripples in every other area of your life. You find yourself making clearer decisions, reacting with more patience, and moving through your day with a sense of grounded strength. Epictetus taught us that freedom and self-mastery go hand in hand. And how we treat our bodies is one of the clearest reflections of whether we're truly in charge of ourselves, or whether we're running on autopilot, driven by convenience and impulse. So tomorrow morning, take a moment to feed yourself well. Not just to fill your stomach, but to fuel your mind, your heart, and your purpose. Because when you choose a real breakfast, you're not just eating, you're declaring to yourself, today, I lead my life. Today, I act with intention. Today, I choose mastery, one meal, one moment, one choice at a time. Part 15, Positive Affirmations. Let me ask you something. What's the very first voice you hear when you wake up in the morning? Is it that gentle, encouraging voice that tells you, you've got this? Or is it the one that whispers doubts, reminds you of yesterday's mistakes, and feeds you stories about not being enough? Most of us wake up to that second voice, the critical, negative, relentless one. It's subtle, but powerful. Before you even roll out of bed, it starts laying the groundwork for how you'll feel, act, and see yourself throughout the day. But here's the thing, you don't have to let that voice run the show. Positive affirmations are one of the simplest yet most powerful tools to rewrite your mental script. And no, it's not about cheesy slogans or empty hype. It's about consciously choosing the seeds you plant in your mind each morning. Think of affirmations as mental push-ups. They strengthen your self-belief, train your focus, and build an inner foundation that can't be easily shaken by the outside world. Epictetus once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." And mastering yourself starts with mastering your thoughts, because those thoughts eventually become your words, your actions, and ultimately, your life. When you speak affirmations out loud, something magical happens. Your words don't just stay in your head, they vibrate through your body. Your ears hear them. Your cells feel them. You start to embody them. Here's the key: the words you choose have to be real to you. Not generic lines you found online, but statements that resonate with where you are and who you want to become. Instead of, "I am perfect," try, "I am learning and growing every day." Instead of, "I have no fear," try, "I have the courage to face my fears." When I first started using affirmations, I felt awkward. Standing in front of the mirror, speaking words of power into a quiet room? It felt silly. But over time, I realized those words were changing something deep inside me. On the days I felt small and invisible, I said, "My voice matters." On the days I felt like an imposter, I said, "I am capable and prepared." And slowly, those words started becoming my reality. Science backs this up too. Speaking positive affirmations activates the brain's reward centers and starts building new neural pathways. You're literally rewiring your mind to support your growth instead of sabotage it. Imagine starting your day by declaring who you choose to be, rather than letting yesterday's doubts dictate today's story. You become proactive instead of reactive. You step into your day wearing mental armor, already aligned with the energy you want to carry forward. And here's a small but crucial tip: say them out loud. Even if your voice shakes. Even if it feels weird at first. Because sound carries power. The act of hearing your own strong words echoing back to you anchors them deeper into your subconscious. Ask yourself, what do I want my mind to believe today? What would my highest self say to me right now? Write down your affirmations. Repeat them while you're making your bed, sipping your coffee, or standing under the morning sun. Make them part of your ritual, a non-negotiable act of self-respect. It doesn't take long. Just a few sentences, a few minutes. But the ripple effect is massive. You'll find yourself standing taller, speaking more clearly, and showing up in ways you once thought were out of reach. Because ultimately, affirmations aren't about pretending to be someone you're not. They're about calling forward the strongest, most authentic version of who you already are. So tomorrow morning, before that old negative voice starts its familiar tune, interrupt it. Speak your truth instead. Plant seeds of strength, courage, and compassion. Because when you master the words you say to yourself, you start to master your entire life. Conclusion: the bigger meaning. Let me share one final thought with you, a reminder that might change the way you look at your entire day. You don't have to control your whole day. You don't have to master every single hour, every challenge, every unexpected twist. All you really need to do is own your morning. When you start your day with clarity, intention, and presence, it ripples outward. Like dropping a single pebble into still water, each small decision you make in the morning creates waves that touch every corner of your life. Those tiny morning rituals, whether it's journaling, stepping into nature, moving your body, or speaking an affirmation, aren't just habits. They're anchors. They ground you. They remind you who you are and who you're choosing to become before the noise of the world tries to tell you otherwise. Each little choice in the morning is like planting a seed of strength, clarity, and peace. Over time, those seeds grow into a foundation so strong that the storms of life can't easily shake you. And that's what Stoicism is really about. It's not about becoming perfect or untouched by emotion. It's not about turning yourself into some unfeeling statue of stone. It's about learning to be fully present. To meet each moment as it comes, with grace and resilience. Marcus Aurelius didn't journal because he was trying to impress anyone or to win at life. He wrote to remind himself to return to the center, to choose virtue over impulse, to be awake to the gift of being alive, even in chaos. You don't have to be an emperor to do the same. Imagine this: you wake up tomorrow and decide to just focus on owning your morning. You drink water instead of mindlessly reaching for coffee. You take 5 minutes to write down your thoughts instead of scrolling your feed. You breathe deeply, stretch, look at the sunrise, and remember that today is a new chance. That's it. You don't need to conquer every obstacle today. You just need to start from a place of presence and purpose. From that place, you'll notice you're less reactive and more responsive. You'll feel less scattered and more grounded. You'll move through challenges with a quiet confidence instead of constant panic. It doesn't mean you won't face setbacks or hard moments, you will. But when you build your day on a strong morning foundation, you're able to return to that inner stillness faster. That's the real gift of these practices, not that they remove life's difficulties, but that they prepare you to meet them as the strongest, truest version of yourself. So, here's my invitation to you: be steady. Be grounded. Keep walking your quiet path forward. Don't strive for perfection. Strive to be present. Because when you focus on just this small part, your morning, you'll discover that you don't have to chase peace, clarity, or strength throughout the day. You've already created it within yourself before you even stepped out the door. And the best part? You get to choose this every single day. Tomorrow morning, as the world starts to pull at you from 1,000 directions, remember, you don't have to control it all. You just have to own those first moments. That's enough. And in the end, that might just change everything.